This is Jim Collison. We are live at the Heartland Developer Conference here in Omaha, Nebraska for 2014. I'm here with Alex Gates, and we're going to talk a little bit about, I think, having it's team communications, right? It's that kind of stuff. So, Alex, first of all, thanks for coming out and being part of the program.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about your session that you had here. Tell us, well, first, before we dive into that, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do, those kinds of things, just so folks know who you are.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Northwest Iowa. I graduated from the University of Northern Iowa, and I've been in Omaha for about 6 years. And I've been doing web development for about 7.5 years or so, mainly a LAMP stack developer, getting into a little bit of Node.js and that kind of stuff lately. So I've got a company with a group of guys called What Cheer, and it's a web design development shop. Since the beginning of 2013, we've been working primarily on a project called Pack, and that can be sort of considered about.me for dogs plus Instagram. So I mean, people can create a profile for their dog and post photos.
Nice.
And so yeah, we just released a beta iOS app. Really thrilled about that. And that's been a really good transition from client work to working on a product and living in sort of the VC-funded world.
Yeah.
And doing that. So.
And what's the name of the website again? How would I find it?
Yeah, it's called Pack, and it's at packdog.com.
Packdog, PACKDOG.com.
Yep.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, very cool. One of your session, you kind of talked about team collaboration, and so let's dig in a little bit, kind of walk me through your session a little bit, and give me some background on what you talked about.
Sure. Actually, the Pack team has 6 people on the team, and 3 of them, including me, were part of What Cheer. And we had an office in Omaha. We were down at the Mastercraft building, and we would work together, have lunch together. Really, we're a really close-knit team. And we were always thinking, about we want to do our own product, and we want to get into that. So the opportunity came up. Megan Casey's the founder of the company. She approached us. We had done a little bit of work for her company Squidoo prior to this. She left Squidoo, had this idea for Pack, and she wanted to talk with us as a team. Part of that, when we were having that discussion, John Henry and his family decided that they were thinking of moving to San Francisco, which would make sense for him to be out there. He's a designer and can go do that. So
yeah.
While we were doing that, obviously we were thinking about, can we still maintain the same sort of dynamic that we have as a team with John Henry out in San Francisco? Obviously, we're not going to keep our space downtown, so we'll all work from home. And so, how can we keep that spirit, the feeling of connectedness together while we're working distributed?
Yeah, which is a huge problem or opportunity, depending on how you say it. Because a lot of organizations are allowing people to work from home, or they're spread across the country. Gallup, where I work, we're based in Omaha, but we've got offices in D.C. and Irvine and San Francisco. I've got remote resources all over the place. I work with folks out of our Sydney office, as well as folks out of India and Singapore, the UK, and in Germany. I'm up all hours, all the time. So I understand that disparity, and I too have done a lot of thinking about how do you keep those teams together. One of the things that I'm hoping you're going to talk about is this video concept, right, of just being able to get on video. So a lot of what I do, I took podcasting and I just applied it to my teams, and I say no conversations unless they're video. I don't allow phone, no more conference call stuff. That just doesn't happen. But I want to hear from you. What kind of things did you come up with? What's helping you guys?
Well, even before we were a distributed team, we used a product called Campfire, and it's by 37 Signals. I guess you can kind of think of it as mainly as a chat room, right? And that would allow us to have communication in the kind of a stream. And that's been really, really helpful. And I think Campfire is really the backbone of everything that we're doing. Because with all sorts of integrations that we have with Campfire, we really can keep a higher level view of what's going on with Pack, whether it's pushes to GitHub, whether it's mentions on Twitter, analytics, anything like that, we get inside that stream. And so it's really handy to be able to quickly ask a question to somebody, to throw a question out to everybody and have them answer. But it's also handy to get all these sources of information right in the stream. So we live in this Campfire, and that's really the main tool that we're using. Inside of Campfire, we have a little robot called Don. He's our robot. He's built with a product called Hubot, and this was built by GitHub. And it's just a really great way of automating certain tasks. So we can push code we can deploy code to staging. We can push it out to production right there, and it's a really handy and easy interface to do that. Designers are able to, maybe they're not comfortable deploying code the old-fashioned way. They can tell Don deploy to staging, and it'll work. So we're doing a lot of things inside of Campfire. That's the main.
Yeah. Very cool. Talk about, so it's like a chat room, though, and so does that necessarily mean that all conversations are there all the time, so you can go back and read it in a conversation?
Absolutely.
And because now your time zones are pretty much U.S. time zones, so you're only a couple hours apart.
Correct.
But how would you see that working for someone maybe around the globe, where a conversation goes on in Australia, when the U.S. folks wake up, they then can read what the conversation has been? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah. A feature that we don't really use too much is multiple rooms. And I think when you have larger teams, or if they're more distributed time zone wise, you can have rooms around certain topics.
Yeah.
And so that kind of keeps the focus in those areas, that if you need to check up on maybe this feature or whatever, you can jump into that room and read, sort of the current status of everything that's happening there. And that with a team of 6, and like you said, we're in California, we're in Nebraska, and we're in Ohio. We're very close.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Yeah.
But still, it's different, right? You're going to lunch at different times. Yeah. You're coming into the office at different times. In California, they come into the office even later.
Yeah,
either they come in really early to stay up with the East Coast, brokers, those kinds of guys, or they're coming in at 10, right? It's just kind of the way it flows out in California. That's a big broad stroke, right? Okay, but
it's true.
I grew up out there. I know the deal. I got friends still out there. So that works out in your favor a little bit, because then they're coming in really late for us. So you only get a half a day with them. So I could see how that would be favorable. We use a tool like Link, but we don't keep, for instant messaging, but we don't keep the dialogue. Once you close it,
it's gone.
It is gone. Does Campfire, have you ever used a tool called Zapier, Z-A-P-I-E-R? So Zapier, does it have Campfire integration?
Yes, it does.
Okay, very good. So you could automate even some of those tasks.
Yeah, it's great.
Associated with it. What else? Other tools that you guys are using?
Yeah, we have a tool that we built in-house. We call it Pack Faces. And what this is, it's just a Node.js application built with Node.js, Socket.io, and using the HTML5 Get User Media API, I think is what it's called. And basically what that does, you launch it, it sits in your, it's just in a web browser, and then every 15 seconds, your webcam takes a photo of you. All right, I'm thinking about and so then you see the whole team, so all 6 of us are there. And so, really, honestly, if you're picking your nose or whatever the case may be, every 15 seconds it takes a photo.
Yeah.
And so this is based on, a different, there's other products like that that are available, and they're sort of a pay-per-user kind of a model that have a lot more features like chat and things that we really didn't need.
Right.
But we tried it out really reluctantly. It was John Henry that said, let's really try this out. And we all thought, this is a dumb idea. I don't want to do this. But, we said, okay, we'll try it out for a week and see what it's like. And so we tried out. And we kind of realized that, if you're working remotely and you don't see the team, it's nice to have somebody notice you got a haircut, or you notice somebody got new glasses or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to see that. So we use Pack Faces quite a bit. And since we've launched it, we've built more features to it.
Okay.
We can freeze a photo for 60 seconds. We can click a button called Dance, and what that'll do is it'll give you a 5-second countdown, and then you'll have 2.5 seconds to do any sort of animated GIF, and then it'll loop that for 60 seconds. So we build features on top of things, slowly over time, and it just sort of helps the culture.
Yeah.
And everybody.
No, that's awesome engagement, right? Yeah. It gives you a few things, because as much as you like to say you're super productive in the office, you're goofing around.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the office, right? At Gallup, we challenge ourselves with fitness events sometimes. So we'll have a push-up challenge or a sit-up challenge. At any point in the office, you got to, you down on the floor doing push-ups, right? And that, you think that's kind of odd, but that builds team camaraderie, right?
Absolutely.
From that standpoint. So, man, I never thought of that idea of taking pictures and having those they're there. So they're there anytime you're in the office. It's just taking a snapshot.
Yeah, we've got an away button that'll really blur it out. So maybe you're eating pizza or something, you don't want to be caught in a weird situation like that. But yeah, and we use it. Like I said, we were first like, this is the dumbest idea in the world.
Yeah.
But then, just really makes a difference to be able to see the team.
Yeah.
Really helps.
One of the things I've done with some of my developers in the past is I've actually just stayed, especially when they're remote, I've just stayed, we've opened a Skype call, we stay on the line. And it's understood you don't have to talk, but the video's on. And we'll be doing something together, and then I'll say, hey, can you go look at this? And they're like, okay. And it's like they're in the cube next door that way. And again, you'd think, oh, that's weird because you're not talking to each other, but it's no different than being like we're having right now. It's just done virtually. Do you guys do much with video conferencing? Do you encourage that in your environment?
Yeah, we use Google Hangouts.
We're using right here?
Yeah. And we don't, I mean, maybe once a week we'll do sort of a group hang. We call it a pack party. But really, most of the communication happens inside Campfire.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love Google Hangouts. One thing that we found is that if we invite somebody to the chat, what we do is we take that long URL and put it in like a URL shortener, like tiny URL.
Right.
And then we can just use that same link to get back into the chat. So, I mean, it can be super fast. If you and I were chatting in Campfire and I say, well, let's take it to Google Chat, we'll just go to Pack Party, and there we go. And there's not that weird, inviting somebody and then waiting for them to get there. I mean, it's really instantaneous how we can spin that up.
Yeah, that's a good idea, too. And you're full of good ideas here, Alex. Nice work. Yeah, I didn't think because that Google Hangout will remain state whether somebody's in it or not, and you could just keep using the same chat room, so to speak, and it's not public, but it's all private to you guys. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that as well. That's good. What else? What else are you guys doing? Well, I don't know how many things you presented, so I'm gonna ask you till we get to the end of the internet.
Well, we use email, obviously. Electronic mail. You heard of it. And we found that we get a lot of this email from other areas, and so we've made a really conscious effort to not send each other a lot, not to add to that crazy inbox situation that we have.
Yeah.
And so, but we do use it every week. Sort of on Mondays, everybody will send an email like, "This is what I'm working on for the week," and then on Friday, we'll say, "Okay, this is what we accomplished," and it's just sort of a nice way of telling everybody what our plan is for the week.
Yeah.
We also have Don, our robot, that talks to us through email as well. So at the end of the week, Don will tell us how many tasks we created and how many tasks we completed.
How did he get the name Don? Does it stand for something? Or?
It doesn't. It seems like it should, shouldn't it? It just was a silly name, and Don has been around for a long time. In fact, Don has been with WhatCheer longer than I have.
Okay.
So, he's been around for a long time.
That's awesome.
He does a lot of neat things.
Don open source at all, or is it completely to you guys?
It's really just mainly a persona, right? I mean, there's a lot of little things that we use. So when we get an email from Don, that's one system that's sending it. When we're using Hubot, we've named Hubot Don. So Don is just a name for like all these other sort of things.
He's an automation guy.
Absolutely.
So anytime you've got some kind of automation tool of some sort, it's coming from your partner, Robot Don.
But it's funny because we would get emails from potential clients or something, and maybe looking to have a website, and they'd say like, "Oh, hey Don, like I've got a question about we'd like to have a website, Don," and it's funny, we all chuckle, because like Don doesn't exist.
That's awesome. He's not real. He is not real. It's funny. I've been working with a new podcaster for a month or so now. We've done 2 podcasts, and the other night I was going to send him some equipment, and I was like, "Hey, well, send me your address," and he's like, "I don't even have your email address." And we had been talking, chatting. We'd set up 2 podcasts. We had done all this work and never even used email in the process. So in some ways, our organization still lives and dies on email.
Sure.
But it's funny how the younger kids it's a multi connection. They connect, and I'm getting that way where I connect. It's like, okay, did we have that on Skype, or was that a Google Plus, or did I see that in Twitter, or did I get it off of Facebook? Our family, we use Facebook Messenger, which has become a great way my wife can dial that thing up and send a message to all the kids, including wives. Boom.
Very nice.
Everybody communicates, and then they can all communicate back. I don't think it's what the tool that matters, but in the way that you guys are using it, right, to get it done. So cool. What else? Any other things that you're using that?
Well, it's not really a tool, but it's a process or a thing that we do is we get together quarterly, and whether that's we go out to San Francisco, or the San Franciscans come out to Omaha, or sometimes we meet in the middle. For example, we met in Boulder in February.
Oh, good.
And we think it's it's important to see each other physically, to give each other hugs.
Yes.
To be able to make jokes in person.
Right.
And that's something that we've really value, is getting together. But it's interesting because what we've learned when we started doing that is that we would walk away with just like a huge task list, and that's fine because we're doing higher level thinking, whiteboarding, but we have all these tasks, and we sort of left the PAC summit, is what we call them. We sort of left feeling like, okay, we have a whole bunch of stuff to do. And so in February, what we decided to do was a hackathon. And so we met in Boulder in sort of a neutral zone. We all came with ideas, and I think that first night we all pitched different ideas, and there were probably 10 to 15 ideas. And then we ultimately voted on what we wanted to build, and so we spent the next 3 days sort of up in the mountains in February, beautiful, in a beautiful cabin, and we released we built an iPhone app called Snack, and that was really PAC's first iPhone app. And basically what this does, it sends you 5 great dog photos once a day. But that was a small project that we were able to build in that short amount of time, and that's a really nice feeling to be able to build something heads down, and
as a team.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of walking away with like a big list of things.
Yeah. So instead of being super strategic, planning way more things than you can actually do, you're like, look, we're going to get together, and when we leave, we're done.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That is a great idea. That kind of keeps that scope creep from getting,
Absolutely.
like, well, you said you were gonna, That's, I love you guys. So you guys are all super creative then, right? I mean, you got creative names for everything. You've got how do you plan? What's the monetization model for this dog? For the About Me dog site.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the question that I get, so often, and really it's about user growth.
Right.
And I think in these social plays like that, it's about getting users that are engaged, that are using the app quite a bit. Now we do a lot of we think breed-specific things are very important, that people identify very strongly with their breed. And so what we're doing is we send emails to all the users by breed once a week. And so we have what are called pack leaders, and we have about 60 of them that are volunteers, and they find links 3 to 5 for something related to their dog. So we've got a Chihuahua pack leader, we've got a Bulldog pack leader, Doberman Pinscher pack leader, and each week they're finding pics and writing a little intro for them and compiling a newsletter, and then these go out to everybody on pack that have that breed of dog. And we think there's something very valuable to obviously knowing what kind of dog they have, what kind of products that these people will engage with in an email. And so we found that, people that make dog treats or make, sort of breed specific, like, hey, we have a brush for like a big dog or for this type of coat or something like that. We think there's value of having that really broken down into breed by breed by breed. But ultimately, like I said, it's just about growing the user base and building products that people want to use and use, sort of addictively.
Yeah, that's a great niche. Cat, you have to come up with an equal cat site. The huge cats are gigantic right now. Oh my gosh! But that's awesome. That you really, that's kind of a niche, but dog lovers love their dogs, and so that's very cool. Anything that you didn't get a chance to say in your session that you wish you didn't get time for, or as you review, because you just came from it.
Right. Yeah, I think especially at this conference, there's a lot more technical, and in fact, I'm not a computer scientist. I don't have a computer science degree. I do some programming, but it's all sort of, I've just learned it over the years. I would have loved to be able to kind of go in there showing the process of building some of these plugins for Hubot, the system that I was talking about, because it's really kind of neat to see. It uses CoffeeScript, which, basically is JavaScript in a way. It's really neat to see how you can build things with sort of that artificial intelligence style. And I think if I would have had more time, I would have been, probably would have been brave enough to give that a go, kind of showing the process of what it takes to build a little plugin for that.
Yeah, really cool. Oh, very cool. And so I'll send you an email and have you send me some stuff to fill in at the bottom of this video. Okay. So if you're watching this video, you want more information, just head down to the bottom in the description. And Alex will have some contact information or some links to the site and whatever else. But Alex, thanks for taking a few. We could talk about this all day. I am totally intrigued by this, but thanks for taking a few minutes to come through an interview.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. You bet.